Hey everybody, Chris AMS, hope you're all well and welcome to another video. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, that really helps us and we really appreciate the views. Today we have an Audi TT in, it's a 2-litre TFSI, it's a 2019, about 50,000 miles on it, and the customer's complaint is that the engine lights come on and it hesitates, it's got a misfire, a jerkiness to it. It appears from what the customer's description is, it does it kind of under load as you accelerate kind of thing. So we've got it in and we're going to see if we can diagnose it. So follow along and let's see if we can get to the bottom of this one. So we're sat in the vehicle again. As you probably remember from some of the other videos, first thing we want to do is try and confirm the presence of the fault. Makes it a lot easier to diagnose if we know the fault is there. So let's start her up. See what we got going on. So there in the top of the screen you can see that the engine warning light is on. Now let's see if we can get it to misfire sat here. So the misfire is not occurring stationary. We'll go and give it a little test drive and see if we can recreate the problem and see what the customer's experiencing. I think before we do that, we're going to give it a little plug-in. We're going to give it a code scan to see what the engine management light's about. That way when we go out for a test drive kind of thing, we can potentially get the correct parameters and stuff up on the screen, so we can watch some of the live data whilst we're carrying out the test drive. So we've got our Snap-on Zeus plugged into the vehicle. We've carried out a code scan and there are 7 faults in the engine management system. Let's get it up on the big screen so you can hopefully see that a little better. We've got invalid data from vehicle dynamic control module, idle control system, RPM lower than expected, random multiple misfire detected, misfires detected on cylinders 1 and 4, misfire detected fuel disabling, so that is the injector's shutting down once it's detected a misfire on whatever cylinder. An internal control module main processor performance. Okay, so we're looking for a misfire. The engine management system has detected a misfire. So let's see if we can get anything on live data that would give us any misfire detection PIDs that we can use in order for our test drive. So our plan of attack is that we're going to find some live data, misfired data, and see if we can test drive the vehicle and recreate the misfire just to prove that the vehicle's seeing it presently, and then we can move forward in our testing. So I'm going through our live data. I like to customize the lists for live data just because there's so many. I mean, I'm going to scroll through our live data and you'll see all the different choices there are that we can have a look at, all the data PIDs there. And I'm looking for, these Volkswagens used to be really good because it would give you misfire data, so it would show you cylinder 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then it will have misfire counters on it that you can look at. Now unfortunately in this one, none of these are actually giving us any misfire counters, which is really annoying. It would make life a little bit easier just to know exactly when it's doing it and how often it's doing it. There is one thing listed for misfire recognition, which currently says unknown in the thing, so we don't know whether that's good, bad or indifferent at the moment. So yeah, let's go and give it a drive and see what it drives like. So when we was discussing the fault codes that we saw come up on the code scan, one of the things that we noticed is obviously we've got random multiple misfire, we've got cylinders 1 and 4 misfiring, and we also had cylinder deactivation as one of the fault codes. So it could be that the fault, the actual misfire itself, is very intermittent, but it's turning that cylinder off, so it's killing fuel to that cylinder, so you don't get bore wash or problems in that scenario. And because what the vehicle doesn't want to do is be pumping neat fuel through the engine, it not combusting because there's a ignition issue, and then dumping neat fuel into the exhaust system and potentially knackering the catalytic converter on the vehicle. So it could be that whatever the fault is intermittent in its nature, but once it shut that cylinder down, then you're not going to get, you're going to have that constant misfire probably until such time as you switch the vehicle off and then restart it. So yeah, let's see. The good thing about where we are as well is that we've got a dual carriageway literally on our doorstep, which allows us to do 70-mile-an-hour test drives. There is also an incline at one end, so it goes up a hill if you go in one direction, which gives us nice ability to put the vehicle under a reasonable amount of load, which would exacerbate any kind of misfire conditions, make them more apparent kind of thing. The more load you put the vehicle under, the more likely it's going to miss. So let's see what it does. There we go. I feel saying I've just pushed through a misfire, I think. So we got up to about 55 miles an hour, and as I've accelerated and put it under some load, it started missing. You can feel it bop, 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 through the vehicle. No warning lights have come back on yet. They have cleared the fault codes to see what comes back on. Our misfire recognition is still saying unknown on the scan tool. It might be worth me plugging a different scan tool in to see if I've got any misfire recognition, because that would be very handy in this instance in order to track it down to the one cylinder and actually watch it on live data, see what the computer's actually showing. But let's get in. So we're doing about 67 miles an hour, but we're cruising, we're not pushing it hard. So, I've just been able to recreate the fault, pushing it up the hill. Misfire caused the engine light to come on to flash. So currently, yeah, we've got a warning, engine warning fault. The engine management light came on and flashed for a while. And as now I've taken the load off of it, it's actually gone out and it seems to be driving alright again. So I definitely think we've got some form of ignition misfire. I think it's potentially shut a cylinder down as well, because the misfire seems to be there at all drivable states now. I think I'm just going around this roundabout and I think it's missing even now. Yeah, so that feels to me, I think we're running on 3 cylinders, to be honest. Yeah, so it's just missing all the time. So yeah, hopefully that'll give us a better indication. So we're back in the workshop and the fault is present all the time now. The misfire is there even if you rev it whilst the vehicle is idling. So I was much surmised that that shut the cylinder down because it's detected a misfire status. So let's see what the fault codes say. Let's have a look at the fault codes. Let's come back out of there, codes. So I have got a random multiple misfire come back on, a cylinder 1 misfire detected, and misfire detected, fueling disabled. So again, like I said, it shut that cylinder down, but I think we can zero in on cylinder 1 being our culprit, and then we can do some tests from there. So let's work out what we're going to do next. So we're into cylinder 1, or this is where we're kind of narrowing our search down based on the fault code that reoccurred. let's have a look at what we're going to, I think what we're going to do is we are going to get some scopy scope tools out, and we're going to actually see if we can see what the waveforms are being produced using the scope to see whether the ignition system is working adequately or not. So we'll have a quick look at a wiring diagram and show you what we've got on the wiring diagram, and then we'll use that in order to base our test off of. So here's our wiring diagram. This is coil number 1. We are using E3 technical for our technical data. Going through the wires to it, pin 1 is coil ground. Actually has a little wire that comes off and grounds right next to the actual coil pack. Pin 2 is coming across down there, round and running to the engine computer. Pin 3 is also running into the engine computer, and it's got a shared line there. And pin 4 is coming off of the ignition coil relay. So checking the coil, really what I'd like to see, we'll check obviously all the connectors, but we're going to use pin 4 primarily, and we're going to go into that, and we're going to use our current clamp to make sure that we've got that the coil is winding up correctly. And we're also going to use a little tool that we've got that we can place on top of the coil pack and measure the secondary ignition waveform and see if that looks like, and basically see if we're getting a good spark event. So let me show you that now. So we've got the snap-on Zeus, using the scope on the Zeus, and it comes with a coilover plug tester. So this actually picks up the secondary ignition event, and we can place that on top of the coils such as this, and then it will show us a reading on the screen, saves us back probing or getting involved in any other way. Like I said, each of these coils have got their own earth wire. You can see it's on the bottom of there, where you bolt the coil to. So I'm happy that's all right. And what I've done is I've put an AMS clamp around the red wire, which in this case is the power supply from our ignition coil relay, to see if we're getting a decent amp draw to the coil, and it's spooling up all right. So we'll run it up and we'll have a look at waveforms and we'll see what we can see. So with the engine running, you may just be able to note the hesitation that's coming from it. Hopefully you can. So it is struggling to spark or run correctly due to the misfire. So the misfire is currently happening at idle as well, which is good for us if we can test for it. I've added a couple of additional lines in just to check power and ground coming out and make sure we ain't got any issues there. So what I'm going to do is, what we do is we put this on the top of the coil, such as that. Just rest that in there, and then we've got that set there, and then we can have a look and see what our thing is doing. Right. So there we go. Right, I'm going to freeze that, and we've got quite a lot of information there, so I'm going to save that so you can see it, and I'll upload it on the screen separately. And then I'm going to turn off. I'm happy that our power and ground are okay. I'm going to turn those two channels off, so we're just left with what we want to see. And then let's go back to record. That side and get it. Right, so that's enough so we can see what's going on with that coil. Alright, now that is showing we found our issue, we found that there's a problem. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move this over to cylinder 4. This is on the other side, and then I'll show you what's going on the other side also. Let's get that. So I'll turn our green channel off. AMS. And I'll find a nice one of those as well, and I'll show you. So based off of the waveforms that we can see in the images, I would say that we've probably got a faulty spark plug. I'll bring it up on the screen. What you can see is you can see a spike. So you can see on the green trace the current being drawn into the coil as it charges the windings in the coil, and then snaps straight down and releases that burst of energy, which then is supposed to jump the spark. Now, where we're seeing that big slope come down on the yellow trace is showing that that's not letting the current jump the spark. You know, it's dissipating that spark really slowly, or in vehicle terms very slowly. It's dissipating, where it should just go down and then bounce across and then back to 12 volts. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the spark plugs out. I'm going to swap probably 1 and 4, I would think, something like that, and then we'll retest and see if we can follow the fault jump across to the other spark plug, at which point it may need to set plugs, but let's have a look. So pulling the plugs out, that one's come out nice and good. This one has left the bloody end in it. Typical. There's a bit of sooty horribleness around the end of there. I'm wondering if this has actually been arcing and that may be the cause of why the spark is jumping funny. Let's try and get this bit out now without fucking it up. So here's the spark plug out of cylinder 1. You can see it's seen better days, quite corroded, and there's a lot of green corrosion and shit on the top where the coil meets the plug. Obviously we're going to put a set of plugs in it, and what I'm going to do is our coil pack, which is this. I mean, this doesn't look too bad as corrosion wise. It's pulling current and stuff alright. I'd say it's probably just going to need a set of plugs. But what I might do is plug this into cylinder 4 and then just check to make sure that the output on a known good cylinder is okay. Right, so we've just swapped cylinders 1 and 4 coil packs over, left the plugs where they are, and we're using the tool. And we're on cylinder 4, and you probably can't see that very well, but I'll do a little savey save. And what we found is that the faulty cylinder has jumped to cylinder 4. So with the scope you can tell that. So it's a new coil pack as well as a new set of spark plugs, and then the customer should be all good. So let me get some of those bits on order. I'll give you a shout when it's done, and we'll go out for another run, shall we? See you in a bit. Right, so we've got our super swanky shiny new coil pack and some new super swanky shiny spark plugs. Let's get them on the vehicle and let's see if this makes any difference. hard up the hill. We are going to try and put the engine under as much load as possible. Because this is when it did it before kind of thing. I'm sure there's people asking, well, why don't you just put a set of plugs in it? Or there are certain places or people that will go, I want to just put a set of plugs in it and a coil pack, or all the coil packs, or I'm going to take the coil pack out of one and put it in the other, and but I mean, we did that, but first, obviously, using the techniques that we did, we proved that we had an ignition misfire. It was caused by the ignition system, not the fuel system or compression or anything like that, or valve timing or anything like that. We proved we had an ignition fault. Yeah. So we've already localized and stopped, not wasted time doing anything else by localizing it to that specific part of the combustion system. I mean, if you're stuck and you don't have access to the kind of tooling that we have, you'd probably be swapping a coil pack from one cylinder to the other, and then whether that works or not, you're swapping the plugs over, and then you're doing a compression test, and then you're doing this or that, So, but we've managed, I'd say, I like the way we do it. I mean, the main thing for us is we don't want to play park starts. We don't want to just load up the cannon, fire loads of bits at it, hoping it'll fix it, guessing, oh, it's got a misfire fault code, it must be a coil pack, or it must be a spark plug. It doesn't have to be, it could be other things as well. It could have been a fuel system issue, or it could have been a timing issue, or it could have been a compression issue. It would still cause misfire fault codes to occur, and it to shut the cylinder down. I mean, this is where we get a lot of cars come in where, oh, my mate's got an OBD reader, he plugged it in, he told me what it is, I googled it, it told me what it is, I fitted that bit, it didn't fix it. So your computer's obviously better than mine, so can you plug it in and tell me what's wrong with it? And everybody thinks they can fix cars, but not everybody does it well. And what you end up with, in that situation, is it costing people more money than if they just come to us in the first place, because they've just wasted loads of money on bits they didn't even need. Whereas we only replaced the bits that we can prove are faulty. Right, so we're back from our test drive. Let's have a look at codes. No codes present, as hopefully you can see on there. No drivability issue noted. Drives lovely. I think we can class this one as a fix. Happy days, the customer can have their car back safe in the knowledge that it's all repaired. I very much hope you like this video. Please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. Check out some of our other videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.